Welcome back to the deep dive. If you're tuning into this, we know exactly who you are. We call you the learner.
Yeah, that's right.
You're the person who, you walk into a bookstore and you just walk right past the get rich quick section and the happiness in 5 minutes section.
Yeah.
You are looking for the section on engineering.
You want the blueprints.
Exactly. You want to know how the machine actually works. You aren't satisfied with those surface level tips or catchy slogans. You want to understand the machinery under the hood of your own life.
And that is exactly why we're here today, to pop the hood.
Precisely. And today we've got a session that is specifically designed to cut through all the noise of typical self-help. We are moving way beyond the theoretical today.
Which is a big shift for us.
It is. I mean, we've talked a
today.
lot in previous deep dives about the metamind and this whole concept of awakening, and all of that is beautiful. It's expansive. It gives you that zoom out perspective.
Right.
But Today, we are zooming all the way in. We are getting into the grit. We are talking about the practical, messy reality of integration.
It's the pivot point, really.
Yeah.
It is where the rubber actually meets the road. Because, you can have all the awakenings you want. You can have the most profound epiphanies sitting on a meditation cushion or hiking up a mountain. But if you cannot bring that insight, that data, back down into your Tuesday morning commute.
Or your difficult conversation with your partner where they're just chewing way too loudly.
Yeah, exactly. Or your exhaustion at 4 p.m. when the emails are just piling up. If you can't bring it there, then what do you actually have?
The nice memory.
Right. You have a nice memory. You don't have a transformation.
And that is the absolute mission of this deep dive. We are exploring the source material today. Specifically, we're focusing on chapters 7 through 12, which argue something pretty radical.
Very radical.
It argues that we are not separate entities. We aren't a mind over here, a body over there, and some mystical force floating around somewhere else. We are a single, living ecosystem.
And that separation, that belief that we are parts rather than a whole, is the root of the struggle for so many people.
So before we really jump in, I want to ask you, the listener, a question. And I want you to be totally honest. Have you ever felt like your brain wants one thing, like it's got the plan, the logic, the to-do list, the grand strategy, but your body wants something completely different?
Like it's just exhausted or anxious or just incredibly heavy.
Yes. And your spirit or your energy is just, it's offline, like the Wi-Fi is just down.
That intense feeling of being totally fragmented.
That is the exact problem we are solving today.
And that fragmentation is what the source material calls being perpetually out of sync. And it's so crucial to understand right off the bat, this isn't a personal failure.
It's not.
No, it's a cultural feature. Historically, culturally, we are actively taught to fragment ourselves. Think about how we manage our lives right now.
Yeah.
If your knee hurts, where do you go?
I go to the doctor. Or the gym, I guess.
Right. You go to the body shop.
Yeah.
And if you're feeling sad or anxious, where do you go?
Therapy. I go to the mind shop.
And if you feel empty or disconnected?
Church, or maybe a yoga retreat. It's a spirit shop.
Exactly. We treat these things as distinct departments that don't even talk to each other. It's like corporate silos for your own soul. The argument in Chapter 7 is that this fragmentation is the primary cause of our suffering and our ineffectiveness. Integration is the convergence point where that separation finally dissolves. It's not about balancing them. It's about realizing they are one system.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the source uses a metaphor here that I think is absolutely brilliant. It moves away from the old idea of the conductor of the symphony, which kind of implies this top-down control, like there's a little guy in your brain pulling levers.
The old Cartesian theater model.
Right, and it
Yep.
moves towards something much more modern, the streaming ecosystem.
I love this analogy. It fits the modern experience so perfectly.
Like a Twitch stream or YouTube Live.
Right. If you think about live stream, you have three distinct components that have to work together perfectly to get a clear picture out to the world. You have the interface, you have the studio, and you have the signal.
So let's break those down for the listener. In this analogy, the mind is the interface, the dashboard.
Correct. Think about what the dashboard does on a streaming platform. It creates the user experience. It applies filters. It moderates chat content. It labels things. It organizes the data coming in. When you feel an emotion, the mind, your dashboard, slaps a label on it. It says, this feeling is anxiety, or this situation is dangerous, or this person is annoying.
It's the categorization engine.
It is.
Yeah.
But, and this is incredibly critical, The dashboard does not generate the content.
Okay, wait, explain that a bit more.
You can change the title of the stream on the dashboard all you want, but that doesn't change what is actually happening in the video feed.
Wow, that's a huge distinction. The mind is curating, but it's not actually creating.
Exactly. So where does the content come from? That's the body.
Mm-hmm.
In this metaphor, the body is the production studio. This is where the abstract becomes tangible. It's the hardware, it's the camera, the microphone, the lighting, the cables.
The physical reality of the setup.
Yes. And here is the absolute kicker. If your lens is dirty, meaning your body is exhausted, toxic, inflamed, or neglected, the stream looks bad.
It doesn't matter how fancy or optimized your dashboard is.
It doesn't matter if you have the best mindset in the world. It doesn't matter if you're typing, "I am happy," into the chat over and over again. If the camera's broken, the picture is broken. You cannot mindset your way out of a broken camera.
I really love that. And then the third piece of this is the force.
The force is the signal. It's the electricity and the actual internet connection powering the whole operation. Without the signal, you have a dark studio and a static dashboard. You have absolutely nothing. Integration, then, isn't about controlling the stream from the dashboard. It's about ensuring the signal is strong, the studio is highly functional, and the dashboard is accurately reflecting what's actually happening.
It completely changes the way you look at fixing yourself, because if you feel like you're crashing or if you feel like your life is just glitching out, you have to ask an entirely different set of questions. Is this a dashboard problem? Like, am I mislabeling this situation?
Right. Or is this a studio problem? Is my hardware fried? Am I just chronically sleep deprived?
Or is this a signal problem? Am I just totally disconnected from the network?
And usually we try to fix everything from the dashboard. We try to think our way out of a studio problem. We try to rationalize our way out of profound exhaustion.
Which never, ever works. It's like trying to fix a flat tire by rewriting the owner's manual.
That's a great way to put it.
But here is where it gets really interesting for me. The source acknowledges that even with this really cool modern analogy, actually achieving integration, getting the dashboard, the studio, and the signal to actually talk to each other is incredibly hard.
Oh, it's brutally hard.
Chapter 7 identifies 5 specific obstacles to this. These are patterns that break the connection. And I really want to go through these in detail because I think everyone listening will identify with at least one of them. I know I personally identified with about 4.
Oh, absolutely. These are the universal human barriers.
So the first one on the source list is called the clinch.
The clinch. This is a subtle, chronic, physical bracing against life itself. Imagine walking around anticipating a punch that never actually comes. It's a background program running threat detection constantly.
I feel this in my shoulders when I'm driving in traffic, just that intense tightness, or even just when I open my email inbox, it's like my whole body goes into a defensive crouch.
Exactly. That is the clinch. And it's evolutionary. We are designed to brace for impact. But in the modern world, the impact is a looming deadline or a passive-aggressive text message. You can't physically fight a text message, but your nervous system doesn't know that. So it clinches.
It's preparing for a physical blow.
Right. And the real cost of the clinch is energy. It consumes massive, massive amounts of metabolic energy to keep those muscles tight and that vigilance high all day long.
It's like leaving a high drain app running in the background of your phone. Your battery just drains and you don't know why.
Precisely. That leaves very little energy for the force, the signal, to actually flow through. You're using all your bandwidth on defense. So you feel drained at the end of the day, not because you did any physical labor, but because you were wrestling a ghost all day.
So you're creating static in your own stream.
Yes.
Wow. Okay, obstacle number 2 is the numb out.
This is essentially the opposite of the clinch. This happens when the signal intensity like pain, stress, overwhelm feels way too high for the system to handle. The studio is getting too hot, the circuits are going to melt, so the system pulls the plug. You disconnect from the body entirely.
This is when you're scrolling on your phone for 3 hours and you don't even realize you're hungry or that your leg has totally fallen asleep.
Yes, it's dissociation, pure and simple. And the consequence of this is that you lose the dashboard data. Remember, the body provides the raw data. The studio tells the dashboard what is happening. If you numb out, you are flying completely blind.
You're cutting the feed.
Exactly. You have no intuition, no gut feelings, no sensory richness. You're just a floating head.
Which leads right into obstacle number 3, which the source calls the performative override.
This is a huge one for high achievers. This is forcing the body to perform a script it fundamentally doesn't believe in. You're terrified inside, but you force yourself to act confident. You're exhausted to your bones, but you force yourself to push through.
Fake it till you make it. I mean, we are basically told that is a virtue in business.
We are heavily rewarded for it. But the source argues that this creates massive internal dissonance. It's total static in the broadcast. Because the body is screaming, no, the studio is literally on fire, and the mind is broadcasting, yes. The dashboard says everything is fine.
It's a contradiction.
It creates a fractured split signal, and people can feel that insincerity, even if they can't consciously name it. They pick up on the weird broadcast.
Obstacle number 4 is fragmented multitasking.
This is the modern condition in a nutshell. Physically in one place, mentally in another, energetically scattered across 3 different pending crises.
Like, I'm at dinner with my family, but I'm thinking about the email I need to send to my boss, and I'm low-key worrying about the news headline I read 3 hours ago.
Exactly. And the source makes a really key point here. Modern life rewards this behavior too. We get applause for being great multitaskers. But it makes accessing the force, that deeper flow state we talked about, absolutely impossible. Because there's no coherent you there to access it.
You're spread too thin.
You're not a solid node in the network anymore. You're a cloud of dust. You cannot integrate a cloud of dust.
And the final one, obstacle number 5, is the perfectionist trap.
This is the belief that you have to wait for conditions to be absolutely pristine before you can even attempt to integrate. I'll start being mindful when this huge project is finally over. I'll connect with my body when I lose 10 pounds.
Right. I'll fix the studio and then I'll turn on the stream.
Exactly. But the reframe here is vital. Integration is not a destination. It's a dynamic equilibrium. It's like riding a bicycle. You don't achieve balance and then just stop adjusting. You are constantly falling slightly left and correcting right. It's about readjusting in real time. It's not about being perfect. It's about noticing you've disconnected and coming back again and again.
So we have the map of the ecosystem now, and we know the 5 main obstacles. Now, moving into chapters 8 and 9, the source finally transitions to the how-to. And I really appreciate that it starts with a reality check. The section is literally titled, Let's Get Real.
It has to do that because the source explicitly states that integration is hard. You are confronting decades of conditioning.
Yeah.
You are rewriting code that was installed when you were a literal child. This isn't a weekend retreat fix.
It describes the process of change in 3 distinct phases, which I found incredibly helpful just for managing my own expectations. Phase 1 is the honeymoon.
We all know this one. You read a new book, you start a new daily practice, and you get that initial massive burst of energy and clarity. Dopamine floods the system.
Yeah.
You think, I figured it out. This is the answer to all my problems. It feels so easy. You think, why haven't I been doing this my whole life?
Oh man, I've been there so many times. But then comes phase 2, the resistance.
The source calls this the extinction burst. This is actually a term from behavioral psychology, and it is so crucial for the listener to understand. When you try to stop a habit or a behavior, it doesn't just fade away quietly into the night. It fights back.
It throws a massive tantrum.
Literally a neurological tantrum. Think of a habit as a heavily paved neural superhighway. It's highly efficient. Your brain loves it because it saves energy. When you try to build a new path, a path of integration or mindfulness, you are hacking through the dense jungle with a machete. The brain absolutely hates that effort. So right before the old habit dies, right before it goes extinct, the brain floods the system with intense cravings or anxiety or resistance, trying to force you back onto the easy highway.
That is such an important mechanism to know about, because when that tantrum happens, most people think, oh, this isn't working. I'm actually getting worse.
Exactly. They think they failed. They say, I started meditating to feel calm, and now I'm angrier and more anxious than I've ever been in my life. But actually, the resistance is the proof that you are finally threatening the old pattern. It's the death rattle of the old way of being. This is the exact moment where most people quit, but it's actually the ultimate sign to keep going.
And if you push through that, if you can just survive the extinction burst, you hit phase 3, which is the integration.
Where the new way becomes the default way. The jungle path you were hacking through is now the paved highway. You don't have to consciously try to be embodied anymore, you just are. But you have to survive the burst to get there.
The source also takes time to address some very common objections in Chapter 9. The biggest one, of course, being, I don't have time.
The source is pretty ruthless here, honestly. It argues you have the exact same 24 hours as everyone else on the planet. The objection, I don't have time, actually translates to, I haven't prioritized this. Or, deeper still, I am addicted to my busyness because it makes me feel important.
Ouch. But very true. If I'm busy, I must matter.
Right. If I stop, I actually have to face myself and the clinch and the static.
The other big objection is it's not working.
To which the immediate rebuttal is, well, define working. Usually when people say it's not working, they mean, I don't feel blissful and completely happy all the time. They want a sedative. They want to be numbed out comfortably. But integration isn't a sedative. If you were starting to feel more, even if what you were feeling is deep grief or rage or bone-deep exhaustion that you've been suppressing for a decade,
Yeah.
then it is absolutely working.
Because the studio is finally sending real data to the dashboard. The camera is on.
Exactly. Numbness isn't the goal. Aliveness is. And aliveness includes the full, messy spectrum of human experience.
That concept leads straight into this idea of radical responsibility. The source says you must claim your admin password.
I love that image so much. You can't blame the hardware of your body or the software of your mind if you aren't acting as the administrator of the system. You have to log in and actively change the settings. You have to stop being a passive user of your own life and start being the architect.
And for the listener who is thinking, okay, I get the theory, but where do I literally start? Do I need to go live in a monastery for a year? The source offers this beautiful little tool called the 1-minute invitation. It suggests that transformation actually happens in micro moments.
A conscious breath right now counts as integration. Noticing the feeling of your feet flat on the floor right now counts. You don't need a perfectly silent hour of meditation. You need 1 minute of presence, repeated 100 times throughout your day. It completely lowers the barrier to entry. It makes it accessible in the middle of a stressful board meeting, in the middle of a fight with your spouse, in the middle of gridlocked traffic.
Moving on to chapter 10, the source makes a massive, massive pivot. We go from fixing yourself to the co-creation. This is the expansion from the self to the network.
This is critical because if you stop at self-optimization, you just become a really highly efficient, very lonely narcissist. Chapter 10 argues that you are not a closed system. You are a node in a mesh network.
A mesh network. Explain that for us.
In a tech mesh network, every node is directly connected to every other node around it. The boundary between you and your environment is completely porous. You are constantly involuntarily sending signals out and receiving signals in. You cannot separate your personal well-being from the well-being of the network you are sitting in.
This brings up the concept of state synchronicity.
This is the very real phenomenon where if you wake up highly irritable, you broadcast that irritation. You walk into the kitchen, you don't even say a single word, but suddenly your partner's shoulders tense up and the kids start acting completely unhinged. They entrain to your state. It's not magic, it's network dynamics, it's biology and physics. Think of tuning forks. If you strike one, the others nearby naturally start to vibrate at the same frequency.
So the vibe isn't just hippie slang anymore.
No, it's scientific shorthand for neuroceptive broadcast. Neuroception is how our autonomic nervous systems constantly scan the environment for safety or threat. If your vibe is off, meaning your internal state is incoherent, clinched, or aggressive, my neuroception picks that up as an immediate threat, and my body goes into defense mode. I don't even know why I'm doing it. I just know my dashboard says I don't trust you.
The chapter outlines 3 levels of participation in this network. Level 1 is the consumer.
What can I get from the network? This is highly draining. This is entering a room and just sucking the energy out of it because you are totally needy or demanding. You are looking for everyone else to regulate your nervous system for you.
Level 2 is the broadcaster.
Look at me. This is deeply performative. I'm transmitting a signal, but it's all about my ego and my image. This is often the look how incredibly spiritual and integrated I am phase.
And level 3 is the conduit.
What wants to flow through me. This is truly co-creative. You make yourself available to the force, to the situation at hand. You ask, how can I serve the flow of this specific room?
Yeah.
You aren't generating the energy yourself. You are allowing the signal to pass clearly through your integrated system. That is where true, lasting influence actually comes from.
There is a practical check here that I started using myself. Just asking myself at the end of the day, where did I take from the network today? Versus where did I contribute to the flow?
It's a very sobering audit to run on yourself. But it radically changes how you show up the next day.
Which leads perfectly into chapter 11, which is titled The Silent Broadcast. The core thesis here is incredibly powerful. The most powerful thing you will ever broadcast is not what you say, it is what you are when you say it.
This goes right back to effective neuroscience.
Yeah.
We literally regulate each other. A calm, grounded nervous system can literally slow down a panicked heart rate in another person without a single word ever being spoken. This is biological fact.
Yeah.
We are open-loop systems.
So if you are fragmented, if your dashboard is saying, I am calm, but your studio is screaming in terror, you broadcast noise.
Urgency, threat, deep insecurity. Even if you're saying all the perfectly right therapeutic words, the signal is just noise. But an integrated system broadcasts pure signal, safety, coherence, clarity. That is what people's bodies actually respond to.
The source suggests a tool for this called the signal log.
Yes. Take 5 minutes at the end of your day. Audit what you transmitted into the world. Not what you accomplished, not what you said, but what you were. Did you transmit anxiety in that meeting? Did you transmit judgment to your partner? Did you transmit peace? Just notice the patterns. When is your signal incredibly strong? When does it destabilize and fracture?
But the expert in the text offers a really interesting caution here about misreading the feedback. They call it the gap.
This is fascinating and so important for people trying this. Sometimes, when you actually manage to broadcast pure, calm, or healthy boundaries, people react to you with intense hostility or confusion. And you might think, oh no, I'm doing it wrong. I'm failing at integration.
Right, like I'm being perfectly zen right now. Why are they yelling at me?
Exactly. But the expert explains that this is just the gap between your state and theirs. If you are deeply calm and they are highly chaotic, your calm highlights their chaos. It acts as a contrast fluid in a medical scan. It makes them profoundly uncomfortable to see their own chaos mirrored back. It doesn't mean your signal is wrong. It means the field is reacting to a new, unfamiliar signal. You just have to hold the signal steady. Let them adjust.
That is such a huge relief to hear. It's not about controlling their reaction to you. It's strictly about maintaining your own transmission. Which brings us to the final piece of our puzzle today, Chapter 12, the relational field.
This is where the practice stops being a personal little project and becomes interpersonal reality. And honestly, this is the hardest part of the entire book. It's very easy to be perfectly integrated when you are alone in your room. It is very, very hard to be integrated when your family is actively pushing all your oldest buttons.
The source talks about co-regulation versus escalation here.
Your nervous system is never neutral in an interaction. Never. You are either contributing to regulation, meaning bringing peace to the network, or you are contributing to escalation, adding to the total chaos. You have to actively choose which side of the equation you are going to be on in every interaction.
And the really painful challenge is that the people closest to you, your inner circle, are usually the ones most deeply invested in the old fragmented version of you.
Yes. The text breaks this into 3 fields. Field 1 is the inner circle. True intimacy. Very high stakes. They have a deeply predictive model of exactly who you are. They know, oh, you always get super defensive when I mention money. If you start integrating and you don't get defensive, it totally breaks their model. It threatens the established power dynamic. They might unconsciously resist your integration the most because it absolutely forces them to change their steps in the dance too.
Then you have field 2, the professional or social sphere, the middle circle.
This is all about energetic leadership. You lead not by bossing people around or giving orders, but by maintaining your state in a chaotic meeting. If you stay perfectly regulated when everyone else is panicking about a deadline, you become the de facto leader of that room, regardless of your actual job title. You become the thermostat that sets the temperature, rather than just a thermometer reacting to it.
And field 3 is the outer circle, strangers.
Low-stakes interactions. This is your training ground, the random stranger effect. Can you broadcast genuine kindness to the barista who messed up your order? Can you stay integrated in rush hour traffic when someone cuts you off? It's much easier to practice here because they don't know your history. They have no predictive model of you. It's a great place to just practice holding your signal.
The source also mentions a really funny term here, the emoji-verse.
Yeah, the chaos of modern digital communication. Group chats, Slack channels, email threads, the relentless digital noise. The text messages that can be misread 1,000 different ways based on the reader's mood. The text notes that you must maintain your integrated state even in this digital ether.
It's so hard, though. You see those 3 little gray dots appearing and disappearing on your screen, and your entire body goes straight into the clinch.
That is the fragmented multitasking obstacle on absolute steroids. Digital communication strips away the body. It strips away the tone of voice and the facial expressions. It is pure dashboard interface with zero studio feed. It is incredibly easy to project all of our own insecurities onto a simple text message. Why did they use a period there? Are they mad at me? You have to be a conduit of actual sanity in the digital asylum.
There's a great diagnostic tool mentioned here called the Intimate Integration Check.
Before engaging in any high-stakes conversation, physically check your dashboard. Ask yourself, are you currently broadcasting right now? Or you're broadcasting, I am here with you. If it's fix me, you are deep in the consumer mode. You need to back away and regulate yourself first. Get your own studio in order before you try to engage with someone else's.
Wow, okay. Let's try to synthesize all of this. We have covered a massive amount of ground today for the learner. We started with the separate parts, mind, body, force. We integrated them into a unified streaming ecosystem in Chapter 7. We faced the harsh reality of the daily grind and the dreaded extinction burst in Chapters 8 and 9. We've realized we are interconnected nodes in a mesh network in Chapter 10. We acknowledged the sheer power of our silent broadcast in Chapter 11. And we finally learned how to navigate the relational field in Chapter 12.
It's a really complete, brilliant arc. It takes you all the way from the deep internal mechanics out to the external global impact.
The traveler's final lesson in this section seems to be all about the messy transition from just learning this stuff to actually living it.
Yes, the goal of all this work isn't to be a perfect monk meditating in a cave. Anyone can be peaceful in a quiet cave. The real goal is to be integrated in the very middle of a messy, loud life. In the emojiverse, in the traffic jam, in the difficult marriage. To be the pure signal in the middle of all the noise.
And that leads perfectly to a final, very provocative thought for you, the listener, to take away today. The source touches very briefly on the algorithm, sort of hinting at the transition to Chapter 13, which we haven't even cracked open yet.
Oh, this is the real kicker. It suggests that you are not just a passive viewer of your life. You are the programmer. The specific thoughts you think, the physical reactions you constantly have, that is your feed. The universe is essentially just an algorithm serving you more of whatever you actively engage with.
So if you constantly engage with worry,
the algorithm says, oh, they love worry. Let's serve them way more worry. And suddenly your entire mental feed is just one long catastrophe.
But if you don't like the feed of your reality right now, you have to remember you hold the remote. You can change the channel. You can actually rewrite the code.
You can absolutely program a new feed. But you have to claim that admin password and take the remote in your own hand. Nobody's going to do it for you.
So the question is, what will you queue up next? What signal are you going to transmit today?
That really is the only question that matters.
Thank you for taking this deep dive with us.
It is always a pleasure.
Transmit a clear signal today. We will see you next time.